everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are solving daily temperatures. So we're given an array of integers that represent the temperatures every day, and we're going to return a new array that has numbers of how many days it takes to have a warmer day than the current day. So for example, for the first index we have number 73. It takes only one day to have a warmer day of 74. So we are going to have 1 in the first index of the output array. And for index 2, we have 75, and it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 days to have a warmer day, 76. So we are going to have 4 in the output array. So for this problem, we are going to use a stack to keep track of the previous index. So we are going to iterate through the array. We're going to start with index 0. And first we can just push the index number into the stack. And there's not much you can do with the first iteration, so let's go to the next one. So index 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to peek from the stack, and that's going to be the previous index. So we have 0 for the previous index, and we're going to compare the numbers at the current index and the number at the previous index, because we're trying to find how many days it takes to have a warmer day. So we are going to check if the number at the previous index is less than the number at the current index. And in that case, you found a warmer day. So we can update the result array in the previous index. And we want to know how many days it takes. So in that case, we can just pop from the stack, and that will be the previous index that we want to update. So we are going to update the result array at the popped index, that's the previous index. It's going to be I minus previous index, and that's going to be how many days it takes. So in this case, I is 1 and the previous index is 0, so 1 minus 0 is 1. So we can update this result to 1. And the same thing happens for the next index. So we're going to have 1. And let's try the next one. We have 75. So we're just going to push the index into the stack. We're going to go to the next index. We have index 3 as the current index. We're going to peek, and the previous index would be here. And the number at the current index is less than the previous index. So in that case, we're not going to do anything except we're going to push the element, push the index into the stack. And we're just going to keep going. So these two move one by one. And 69 is less than 71. We're going to push the element into the stack. For the next operation, we found current index I that is the number is bigger than the number at the previous index. So in that case, we're going to pop, and that will be the index to update, index 4. And the result would be I minus previous index, in this case 1. Instead of going to the next index for the current index, we are going to check the stack, and we're going to peek from the stack again. And in this case, the previous index will be 3. So we're going to check if this condition still applies. So in that case, it does apply. The number at current index I is bigger than the number at the previous index. So we're going to do 5 minus 3 again, and we're going to update the number for the result index. And in that case, we can just pop and forget about this one. And then previous index will go back to here because we're going to pick from the stack. And we will check if the number at the current index is bigger than the previous index. It's not. So in that case, we're just going to add index 5 and keep going. But if you keep going to the end of the array, we're going to have a result array. Alright, so let's write up the solution. So we are going to use a stack, so we can initialize that here. It's going to be a type of integer because we are going to store the previous indices. So we can do stack, new stack. We are also going to have a result array to store how many days it takes to have a warm temperature. It's going to have the same length as the temperature array that's given. We're going to iterate through the array starting from index 0 and ending at the length of the temperature, or -1 in this case. So for every iteration, we're going to pick from the stack. And to pick from the stack, we need to make sure that there's an element in the stack. So we can check if the stack is empty. If it's not empty, then we're going to check the number at the previous index, which we are going to pick. So to do that, we can do stack.pick. That becomes the previous index. So we want to check the temperature at the previous index. And if that is less than the temperature at the current index, then we found a warmer day. And in that case, we're going to have a previous index variable. We're going to pop from the stack, and that's the previous index. And we're going to calculate the result, and we are going to store it in the previous index. To calculate the result, how many days it takes, we're going to do a current index minus the previous index. And while the stack is not empty and while we keep finding previous index that has a less value than the current temperature, then we're going to keep doing, and then we're going to do that for each index. And we are going to push the current index every time as well. At the end, we can just return the result. Alright, so this was daily temperatures. Thank you for watching.